Yeah. Good morning. Namaste. Welcome to the 71st episode of Deko Apna Desh webinar series. My name is Venkateshan. I'm your host today. I'm the Regional Director for India Tourism in the Western region based out of Mumbai. And today I join you from the India's first heritage city, Ahmedabad. Over the last 9 months, we have traveled to some of the best destinations of the country through this Deko Apna Desh webinar series. We were introduced to new experiences. We had uncovered some hidden gems, discovered lesser known destinations, all on virtual platform. In fact, every episode has been a unique experience, bringing in a wealth of knowledge to the participants. In fact, let me briefly narrate my own experience. Since August 6th, 2019, I have started traveling across the country, all for work, but have observed how the hospitality industry and travel industry has adapted itself to the new normal. Even the smallest dhaba in a remote village is aware of the COVID protocols and it welcomes the guest at least with a minimum hand sanitizer. So that gives a kind of a good feeling of comfort and safety that of course we are traveling in a safe environment. And while we talk about travel today, domestic tourism continues to be an important contributor to the tourism sector, providing the much needed resilience. If you look at globally, a number of destinations have managed to overcome their international inbound tourism losses during the period of recession by focusing on the domestic tourism. We in India have done so in 2008 when our inbound dropped due to the Mumbai attacks and also the global economic meltdown. And as we all know, our tourism economy today is highly dependent on the domestic tourism. I believe that focusing on domestic travel, encouraging fellow countrymen to explore their own countries, taking the much needed break within their own borders will be the winning strategy for India to bounce back on the tourism sector. While we talk about the domestic travelers, the profile of the travelers also has changed. Experiential travel, which is sometimes called immersion travel, is what a lot of travelers are doing. They are no longer visiting a destination for just sightseeing, taking a photo, or just putting up something on the social media. They really want to be there, experience, smell, taste, touch, and see how it feels to be observing the environment that they are traveling to. In fact, our topic today for the webinar is Rajasthan, India's uh, art experience hub. And taking us on this experience is Mr. Karthik Gagar. He is CEO of Rajasthan Studio. Karthik is a avid traveler and a foodie. He is CA by profession and training, and also is the main driving force behind the Rajasthan studio. He is presently obsessed with the thought of reviving people's interest in all things from Rajasthan's glorious past, food, art, culture, albeit with contemporary touch. He is constantly exploring, pushing the envelopes, and prototyping new ideas. And he jumps into any new opportunity to be involved in any aspect of creative project. Well, we all know Rajasthan for years or centuries has interested the wanderers, adventurers with its varied landscapes and also amazing uh, uh, monuments and heritage. While all said and done, as I told earlier, the way that we travel has changed and it is much different now, and definitely more than a package tour or a sightseeing. What the 21st century is all about is experiential travel. uh, with this brief introduction, I would now invite Karthik to take us through the art forms of Rajasthan and what he has been doing through his Rajasthan studio, which would really kind of kindle the travelers to uh, take on their bags and move to these places and not virtually but experience it physically and come back enriched. Over to you, Karthik.
Hey everyone, I welcome you all to this Dekho Apna Desh this webinar on Rajasthan, India's Experiences Hub. I would like to thank Mr. Venkat and the Ministry of Tourism for this opportunity where we'll be taking you to the world of art experiences in Rajasthan. So Rajasthan happens to be the largest state in the country, but very few know that it is also the diverse cultural hub. At Rajasthan Studio, we bridge the gap between master artisans of all the unique and dying art forms of Rajasthan and travelers and art lovers around the world through art experiences and workshops. Once the princely state and now the largest state of India, Rajasthan is a complete package in itself for your leisure, business, wedding, historical, and mythological needs. The cosmopolitan spring city of Jaipur, the royal hospitality of Jodhpur, sand dunes of Jaisalmer, vibrant Havelis of Shekhawati, the safari ride at Ranthambore, the Bikaneri Bhujia, and Chittor ke Kile, the ghost stories of Bhangad, the scenic beauty of Mount Abu, and so much more. The only question is, when are you ready for your cultural homecoming? Experiential travel and the era of experiential travel. Experiential travel revolves around cultural exploration and activity-based travel experiences. Tourists and travelers don't want to simply check things off their bucket list anymore. They want to seek experiences that enrich them and make them engage with a place and a culture in a more intimate way. Tourists want to go beyond gazing out of a tourist bus and actually spend time interacting with locals. They are interested in exploring the hidden gems of a place. They are tired of run-of-the-mill experiences that are catered for mass tourism. At Rajasthan Studio, we realize that there is a big gap between what the current generations want and what the current generations want and what people are actually looking for. The existing tour and travel operators are offering, hence to immerse in technical glitch, I guess. So according to a recent survey, over 72% of respondents said that they would rather spend money on experiences than on things. Further, 88% said travel is the #1 dream on their life's bucket list, ranking higher than family or wealth. So what makes Rajasthan the art hub of India? Known for its extraordinary culture, we all know that Rajasthan for centuries has been home to the Indian royalty, a treasure box full of art and craft. You walk into any narrow bylanes of Rajasthan and you will come across an artist practicing a unique art form with no mention on the internet. Currently, there is no accurate data on the number of art forms revealing in Rajasthan, but with our primary and secondary research, we've identified 103 art forms that exist, making Rajasthan a perfect destination to be explored through the eyes of local artists. Now, I'm going to present you a timeline of art forms from the very beginning. We have selected 27 most popular and interesting art forms for today's session. This timeline bridges how art forms in Rajasthan dates back to time when geographical boundaries of Rajasthan were not even defined. Here we go. So as you see, from terracotta pottery and ajrak printing originated during the Indus Valley civilization, carving on wood, marble, and metal to make royal jewelry and jutti and vibrant paintings, Rajasthan is indeed the cultural hub of India. Put on your pagadis and get on this journey with us to explore these art forms from the very beginning of time. Terracotta art. When first civilization was recognized, a lot of experiments were made with the sand, soil, stones, and even clay. This is when terracotta became a life-changing addition. Terracotta is a ceramic material which has been used in construction as well as decorative arts since ancient times in many of the cultures around the world. Mulela village, which is near the town of Nathdwara, became an international destination for its production of brightly painted terracotta goods. The potters of the Mulela, popularly known as the Kumhars, make multiple kinds of terracotta, which include devotional plaques, local deities, decorative vases, and pots, and even jewelry. The next we have sandalwood carving. The ancient art of using sandalwood has been a part of Indian culture from the days of Ramayana. Traditionally, it was used to make incense, oils, medicines, perfumes, carvings, and a variety of handcrafted ornaments. This art originated in Uttar Pradesh but embraced in the Churu district of Jaipur, remains a popular wood to work because of its softness and natural fragrance. Later, during the days of Maharaja Savai Mansingh, the intricate work of sandalwood carving could be seen on the grand entrance doors of the palaces and Haveli. The most intricate sandalwood carvings can be seen in furniture items, decorative pieces, toys, and household goods. So when you take this experience of this art form, the artwork carvings are so minute that you just keep on staring the way artist is working on. We have the Jangid family of Jaipur who would welcome you to a workshop where you would be able to carve sandalwood together with the masters. So next we have marble carving. I'm sure all of us, we've seen so much of carving, especially marble. The geological old land of Rajasthan, rich in different kinds of hard rocks like granites, marbles, slates, and other metamorphic rocks, has been a stone carver's paradise. The Makarana district of Rajasthan is known for the best quality of marble in India. But the capital city is the center of marble carving in Rajasthan. Yes, the capital city, Jaipur, is actually the center of marble carving in Rajasthan. Here one can see artisans and creating marble images of deities as well as domestic utensils such as bowls for grinding spices and kneading dough. At Ajmer, Udaipur, Jodhpur, and Bikaner, one comes across some very fine examples of the intricate marble jali work done on screens and panels of the royal palaces. By the way, did you know that the white stone used to build the Taj Mahal was actually exported from Makrana? Next, we have frescoes. Oh, so I'm sure if you've ever traveled to Rajasthan, this is what you would have definitely come across. You would have never realized that this is such a unique art form. And you know what you see and what you like, it's actually called frescoes. The art of frescoes have been prevalent in Rajasthan for a very long time. A leisurely walk through the Shekhawati region will show you the artistic acumen of the craftsmanship. The Havelis in the Shekhawati region are beautifully painted and frescoes abound here. For all those who don't know where exactly Shekhawati is a belt which is approximately 100 kilometers from Jaipur. The interiors, pillars, rooms, halls of the Shekhawati Havelis all have been designed with the most intricate of frescoes. Another unique example of frescoes would be definitely the region of Mandava and Navalgarh. They are a perfect blend of monumental frescoes with figures of elephants and horses and that of the British India. Vibrant colors are characteristic features of these frescoes. If you are someone who loves wall graffitis of the Western world and want to explore Rajasthani style of it, you should definitely attend a Jaipur masterclass on fresco painting. If you have no plans of staying in Shekhawati region, but just you have a day, you can always take a day road trip, which will give you a great exposure to this beautiful art form. The next, we have the special leather juti. Yes, the leather Jutti-Mojari. Jutti was first patronized by the Mughals and was extremely popular amongst the kings and the queens who belonged to the richest era of Indian history. Rajasthan, in particular, has been a hub where making of these exquisite shoes first originated. The style of Jutti back then was far more ornate and rich in texture and design, which incorporated fine gemstones and even precious pearls. Till today, the process and design of making Jutti remains exactly the same, and it's worn by men and women of North India. So most of these designs were actually inspired by the Mughal architecture and Rajasthan's rich flora and fauna. Like, for example, your common motifs include like your flowers, leaves, birds, and other ornate designs. Now, in case whenever you plan to travel next, the Mochi market of Jodhpur is the place in Rajasthan to explore this artwork in detail. Our workshop in Jodhpur with Mohan Lalji and his mother will help you understand the material and process of making your personalized royal juti. Okay, so now we next move on to One of my favorites, the Kathputli. Kathputli is considered as the oldest form of entertainment. Kathputli is the theatrical play with dolls where Kath means wood and Putli means a doll without life. The Bhat community of Rajasthan have been the carriers of this visual art form. Earlier used in the streets to spread the social message like saving girl child and other campaigns, in modern day, Kathputli shows tell us the historic stories of kings and queens. Over the years, these Rajasthani dolls have become a prominent home decor souvenir of Rajasthan. Made out of wood of mango tree and old cotton clothes, hands-on session of Kathputli making is a must experience when in Rajasthan. Like how today we have the OTT platforms like Netflix and so much content. Back then, they just had Kathputli. One thing when you are in next, experiencing Kathputli is when you take a hands-on experience, when you can actually make your Kathputli and when you can actually play with that Kathputli. When you learn how to play, especially on your fingers, that's where you realize that how intricate or how beautiful this art form is. And especially when you travel to these places where you see these artists working, you realize that life is definitely not easy for these artisans. There are some artisans specifically of this art form where they really have to earn their bread and butter on a daily basis. They have to think about their daily expenses too. Next, we have Daboo printing. So in this style of dyeing, literally all the motifs are derived from vegetable and fruit forms. With the earliest origins tracing back to 675 AD, Daboo madrasa's dyeing is known to be associated with the weaver. It is actually a specialized version of block printing. Presently, the form is native to the village of Akola in the Chittorgarh district of Rajasthan, and not many people know about this printing form. So did you know that a few hundred years ago, Rani Rathorji of Mewar established a village by the banks of the Bidach River for the Daboo printers to flourish and earn their livelihood? Don't you think it's interesting? Oh, so next we have the most famous tie and dye, the bandhani and the leheria, which we all know. The ancient bandhani or the Indian tie and dye technique actually began 5,000 years ago originally, but became a popular art form some 1300 years ago in the Indian states of Rajasthan and Gujarat. Many believe and attribute the Chipa community of Rajasthan as some of the first to use this form of dyeing. It is the oldest method still in practice and is used to make saris, odhanis, and turbans. The bandhani technique has been passed on from generations to generation as a form of art. Currently, this art form has made Jodhpur its hub and fascinated people all across the world. So when you are in Jodhpur next, and when you take an experience or when you take a workshop, you will come across some unique facts and processes of tie and dye, the whole process. For instance, there is this special washing machine to dry tie and dye clothes, which actually gets repaired every 2 weeks. Next, we have gemstone carving. With its origin dating back to the Indus Valley civilization, the art of gemstone carving has gained immense popularity worldwide because of the timeless value of precious natural stones. In India, Jaipur has emerged as a hub of gemstone carving, housing artists who have mastered the art of cutting and polishing the gemstone over generations to enhance the stone's desirability. Engraving and carving motifs inspired by the Mughal architecture in precious stones like emerald, rubies, onyx, and many more are striking testament of Jaipur's illustrious gemstone artistry. Whether you want to customize a design or engrave your initials on these precious stones, gemstone carving Jaipur should be included in your itinerary. Like for an example, we had a couple who visited all from Canada just for this workshop. When they first heard about that they could actually meet an artisan, a fourth generation artisan, and they could create something of their own with the artisan. So I still remember there was this rose pearl or this. They created a simple Ekomkar on this, and that jewelry, the gemstone jewelry, is being worn by the attendees till today. And that's a sign where, that's a way where today experiential travel helps People connect to artisan directly, and these connections are become memorable because of the stuff they co-create. Then we have wooden block making. Wooden block making became famous in the early 1100. One of the famous textile works of Rajasthan, wooden block making and printing originated in a small town of Bagru near Jaipur. Wood block making or hand block making is a process of carving intricate designs on a wooden block, which is further used for printing on textiles. These designs are the representation of the Rajasthani culture, which include the motifs like camels, elephants, peacock, and other floral designs. The influence of social media has increased its popularity across oceans. Since generations of block printing have been practicing this art form in Jaipur, it has also become the hub of block printing. While the father and the son duo usually are busy creating designs on the block, and on the other side, women are engaged in printing the textile within the blocks. Along with experiences this art from the scratch, you can also take a small DIY kit back home for your artsy needs. Generally, block makers have a very hectic routine where they work from morning 7 to evening 7. And the work is so fine when you actually get to see artisans making wooden block. The work is so fine that it looks exactly that it is made using a machine. So that's the beauty of wooden block making in Rajasthan. Then we have Phad painting. Phad painting is a 700-year-old legacy passed down over generations within a single family. Yes, a single family. Phad finds its origin in a place called Shahpura, which is near Bhilwara in Rajasthan. Phad is a type of scroll painting that is drenched in tradition and history. It narrates the religious stories of local deities and gods. What adds to the uniqueness of Phad art is that historically, it was only the members of the Joshi family belonging to the Chipa caste. A unique fact is in the olden days, the first brush stroke was made by a virgin girl from the artist's family, following which the painter divided the canvas into various sections according to the parts of the story being depicted. The techniques of Phad were only taught to those who remained in the family, not those who leave it. So while daughters were not taught the art, daughters-in-law who became part of the family were. Yeah, it's actually an interesting fact. Um, Next, we have something which all of us we are all connected with is Meenakari. Meenakari is an art of enameling on the jewelry. Traditionally found on the back of the Kundan jewelry, the art of Meenakari has its roots in Persia, but was brought in the princely state of Jaipur by Raja Man Singh, who later turned Jaipur a hub for gems and jewelry. Apart from jewelers, the vibrant art of Meenakari can be seen on marble, vase, jewelry, and treasure boxes as well. Your trip to Jaipur is incomplete if you do not try your hand at making a personalized jewelry pendant with our fourth generation national award winning artist, Mr. Jaswant Kumar Meenakar. The art that looks easy and simple on the jewelry actually sometimes takes days and months of work and years of practice. There's so much of hard work involved in what we see, what looks appealing. Then we have miniature painting. A 16th century art form, miniature painting is an incredibly detailed, enchanting visual narrative of royal festivities, portraying the folklore of Raja Rani, war scenes, and even Krishna Lila. The paintings are small in size, but they are extremely detailed and elaborate, and this requires a high degree of skill and experience. In the intricate design, there is no way to hide even a small brushstroke gone wrong. If you're someone who loves to paint and wants to explore the history of Rajasthan through painting, you should definitely attend our masterclass workshop on miniature painting in Jaipur with the Padma Shri artist, Sir Shri Shakir Ali ji. If you are someone who loves to paint, there are different shailis of miniature painting. You have the Jaipur, Jodhpur, Mughal, Kishangarh, Bundi, and so many. Next, we have Tarkashi. Tarkashi is an art form of inlaying metal wire in a hard wooden surface. It is said that the artisans from Jaipur are said to be the descendants of the skilled workers of Manipuri in Uttar Pradesh. They migrated here during the reign of Maharaja Jai Singh II. During the princely era, the intricate work of Tarkashi can be seen on the doors and windows of the places. With the passage of time, the hidden artwork enjoys a special status and can be on the wooden jewelry boxes, trays, keychains, and home decor items like vases and pots. The patterns inlaid are usually so intricate, they are geometrical forms or frills from Mughal arts. What makes this art attractive is the dazzling wires carved in oiled wood. It looks simple from the outside, but when you get your hands on it, you realize the details and the thought process that goes in. Next, we have the Jaipuri Razai. Who would have ever thought a warm city like Jaipur would have a Razai named after it? The cold nights in Rajasthan are the reason behind the location centric Razai or bed comforters. As a celebrated art form of Jaipur, Jaipuri Razai defines luxury and ultra softness. It is also known as a velvet quilt. What makes Jaipuri quilts different is the beautiful and the aesthetic prints, which includes design of Mughal buttas, florals, elephants, etc., which shows the history and culture of year-old traditions. Jaipur Razai is printed by the process of screen printing as well as block printing, which are both handmade processes carried out in the local areas like Amir and Fagi. If you have ever been to Rajasthan during peaky winters, you definitely know it is not easy to get out of a Jaipur ki Razai. I'm sure a lot of us, spending this weekends and enjoying this webinar in their Razais. Then we have Gota Embroidery. Gota Patti, Lappi Ke Kaam, or Gota Embroidery are the various names of the same art form, very popular in the Shekhawati region of Rajasthan. As a forte art form of Rajasthan, it is still often debatable from where the Gota originated. This handicraft got popularized as and when Mughal period began. Taking a closer look at the nomenclature, the patti refers to the most important part of the motif, that is the leaf. Gota patti involves folding tapes into pattis or leaves. These are then organized into a jal to create a motif which is later sewn on the fabrics. Popular motifs include peacocks, floral design, geometrical patterns, human figures, elephants, and horses. An extension to the Gota Tukri technique is first cut into various shapes like gamla, keri, or champak, and then applied on the base fabric adorned with embroideries like zari and zardosi. Then we have the Pichwai painting. Native to the town of Nathdwara, near Udaipur city, Pichwai paintings portray the life of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is often depicted at Srinathji in Pichwais, which is the deity manifest as a 7-year-old child. Other common subjects found in Pichwai paintings are Radha, gopis, cows, and lotuses. Till date, Pichwai is one of the most expensive forms of painting. Devotees and art lovers from across the world visit the town of Nathdwara and spends months on learning the art of Pichwai. Our master artist, Sri Rajaram Sharma, has won numerous awards by the state and the central government and trained both foreign and domestic students under him. One of the most expensive form of painting. I believe the reason why a lot of people connect with Pichwai is because of the story and devotion behind it. Then we have Theva art. This artwork is and has always been a native to Pratapgarh. Theva, which in the local Rajasthani language means setting, is a craft of fusing 23 karat gold with multicolored glass, which leaves a glittering effect. It is a very detailed and intricate process, which starts with beating a 23 karat gold piece into a very thin sheet. Then intricate designs are inscribed onto these gold sheets using a fine chisel. This gold sheet is called Theva ki patti, which is fixed by slightly warming the lac and then pressing the gold sheet onto it. The gold sheet is gently peeled off by heating it. Beautiful and traditional items such as handicraft items, glass artware, lampshades, flower vases, glass pots, and so much more is renowned for its Theva work. And if you plan to visit Pratapgarh, you definitely can't miss Theva art. Evidently, as the name suggests, Kota Doria is a textile art form from Kota city. Khaitun still is the most popular Kota Doria production hub. Brought from Mysore to Kota in the 17th century, it has now settled in the heart of Kota forever. Kota Doria is distinguished by its square patterns, which are known as ghats, that make Kota Doria so much more appealing. Every weave goes through a dexterous process before it can be finally worn. The combination of silk makes the final product both strong and soft. Cotton provides strength and firmness to the fabric, while silk adds more transparency and lustre finish to it. Though the saris found in Rajasthan have a high yarn count, Kota is also known for the production of fine cotton because of the presence of the Chambal River, which makes the air moisture laden. Low count cotton yarn also helps in the making of the fine Kota Doria weave. Next with us, we have the art form of Dhaal and Talwar. Engraving is one of the oldest forms of artwork. In this case, the artist converts old war weapons into artifacts. Once used as a wall decorative, this art form is losing its roots and now found in museums. This is actually on the verge of extinct. This art form has no trace on the internet and is being practiced in just narrow lanes of Jodhpur by award-winning artist Vishnu Kumar Pariwar and his family, who's carrying the 250-year-old family legacy. I believe there are hardly any artists who are pursuing this art on art war weapons. I personally feel that this is one art form that has already reached the museums, and if not preserved, there will be no one to give us an experience. The next we have is Lac Jewellery. Now, the history of Lac Jewellery dates back to the 1700s. So far, we've talked about jewelry of terracotta, gemstones, but amongst these, Lac Jewellery always stands out as a sustainable jewelry. In Jaipur, Rajasthan studio lists a masterclass experience with the Lac maestro himself. The versatile jewelry has a lot to offer, from jewelry, decorative pieces, and architectural work. The process goes like this. First, a brass metal bangle is first made and shaped using a round wooden tool. The bangle, after shaping, is flattened with a round flat tool. Lac dough, the basic raw material, is rolled before coloring. Colored lac is being applied on the lac dough. Colored lac is then pressed with a flat wooden tool to make a thin roll. That is how a lac bangle is made. The most magic and organic way of making your own jewelry in Jaipur is lac work. Why shop when you can make your customized jewelry with the artist? You will be your own designer. Next, we have a very interesting art form, a 300-year-old art form that celebrates the avatar of Krishna, is practiced by only Pancholi family of Udaipur, that is continually trying to keep this art form alive. The unique aspect of this art form is the canvas is not any cloth or paper, but sheer water. This art form came into origin when Lord Krishna's image was seen in the water by Radha in a pond, and the image was outlined with flowers to make a picture of the Lord. Since then, it has evolved as Sanjhi, which is made to honor the Lord Krishna's Leela in the form of pictorial depiction on water. Sanjhi paintings are made complementing Lord Krishna before the onset of the festive season of Navratri.
Karthik?
Yes.
Hello. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
So this is. Yes. So good morning, viewers. I'm sorry, Karthik, I'm interrupting you in between, but I was missing being a part of Dekho Apna Desh. And so good morning, viewers. And I am interrupting Karthik to take you to something very different for a couple of minutes. And then we'll go back and ask Karthik a couple of questions that I have from where I am today. You can see that I am in a very, very different area from where Karthik is. He has a lot of man-made art behind him, and I have nature's art in front of me. Here I am, and across the hills, you can see, if you see the hills over there, that's Arunachal Pradesh, and I am here sitting in Assam. And there's a beautiful river going by. So I'm in a little place away from Guwahati. The name of the place is Nameri, and I'm bringing to you these beautiful nature sites, encouraging everybody to travel. Yesterday's visit took, I would say, fortunate to go to Kamakhya Devi Ji temple, get her blessings, and today sitting with nature. This is our beautiful country. And why I juxtapose the two frames right now, where Karthik sits, the splendor that our arts people and the crafts people have done, and look at what nature offers us. I think that's our beautiful country for us. Now, talking of art, Karthik, I wanted to share with the viewers as to why are we bringing this webinar to you today. Last week, we had done a webinar on Calcutta and Bengal. And viewers, it's a matter of great pride to share with you that when we were doing our road shows and also setting up homestay publicity and promotion programs from rural Bengal in the West Midnapur district, in a small little village, an artisan sold a scroll of Ramayan for 2 lakh rupees on a single day. That was a moment of great happiness and great pride for us, and also a boost to the local craftsmen and the artisans. That's the kind of support we are looking for our, it's so important to preserve the heritage and the culture of one's own country. And that's the essence of today's webinar. When we bring you these amazing, amazing art forms, and of course, the need to not just be an Atmanirbhar Bharat, that of course is so very important, and therefore promoting everything that's domestic, but going vocal for local. Look at the kind of colors that we see right now behind Karthik's screen. I think it's just so stupendous. And therefore, we encourage all of you to not just travel, but when you travel, absorb all the sights and the sounds. Do stop by in these little places where you go and look at the work of these amazing craftspeople, and not just look at it, but also buy. They come in all budgets. I'm sure, Karthik, you will share that also, that one could just buy a small little keychain, one can buy a small little pen, a diary, or anything to encourage a craftsperson. Or if you have the money, well, surely you can buy even more expensive stuff. But even that smallest little, just standing there for a minute and encouraging a person that, hey, you made something so beautiful, is, I think, something that we must add value to. So, Karthik, from this point, you carry on.
Thank you, Rupinderji. Okay, we were talking about blue pottery, and blue pottery is widely recognized as a traditional craft of Jaipur. Blue pottery came into Jaipur from Persia and Afghanistan via Mughal courts and was patronized by the Rajputs. Distinguished by a vivid blue and a turquoise color palette, a Jaipur blue pottery item is a thing of sheer beauty. The Jaipur blue pottery was given a GI status in India, and the blue pottery products range from decorative items like tiles, beads, vases, plates, coasters, and small bowls. You cannot leave Jaipur without having a hands-on experience on blue pottery and making your personalized blue pottery souvenir. The next art form we have today is horn and bone carving. Horn was basically banned in the early 80s and 90s. Bone craft is still one of the most delicate craft forms that has flourished under the real patronage in few historical cities of Rajasthan, including Udaipur, Jaipur, and Jodhpur. Since the times of queens and kings, Jaipur has been an important center for bone carving. Skilled craftsmen used to make decorative and functional products for the royals. In a small town of Jodhpur, a number of artisans are practicing bone carving in the small vicinity of their houses. The place is situated in the heart of the city, majorly dominated by the Muslim population. Bone carving is considered as one of the luxurious crafts and therefore get patronized by the royals. Articles made using bone carving include jewelry, toys carved in the shape of animals, bird, fish, bangle boxes, and a lot more. The growing popularity of this work is evident in the large increase of artisans in Jodhpur. Youngsters and millennials are often detached from this savage practice that involves ethical animal leftovers. However, to safeguard and preserve the art form calls for an experiential tour with a maestro. So far, we've discussed 27 traditional and unique art forms of Rajasthan in chronological order, starting from the ancient civilization of the Indus Valley up to the 17th and 18th century. While the Mughals and royals passionately brought their favorite art form and brought around the world and turned Rajasthan into a cultural hub. With the passing of generations, evolution in technology, and Western cultural influence, the traditional art forms are living on the edge of extension. The only way to save these art forms is by making youth aware of it, by letting them experience these art forms. Hence, the 21st century calls for the age of experiential tourism to help millennials and the younger generations get in touch with the root culture and art forms that India is known for. The next thing we know that an age of experiences or an age of art experiences is the next big thing. Rajasthan Studio, with its forte of art experiences, is a hub for you to find your art love. Art experiences can be found in three cities, namely Jaipur, Jodhpur, and Udaipur. As a valuable addition to your travel itinerary, it lets you connect with 50 plus senior award-winning artisans who will be your host and host at their art place and would take you on a 360-degree art tour. Imagine you are traveling and you get this chance to create something with a master artist, and you get to visit the artist studio, which is in major cases his home. And apart from just creating, you also get to understand his journey, his family's lineage, and the kind of artworks this master artisan has created. And on top of it, you get to choose your canvas, your moment, your mentor, your material, and your method. Travel means 1,000 different things for 1,000 different people. But the experience one has is what stays memorable throughout for each person. When you visit these workshops and co-create art with the artists, that's when you realize all the goods and handicrafts that you buy, there is so much hard work and story behind it. And with this is me, Karthik, signing off. And I wish you a great day ahead. And I see you soon in India's art experiences hub called Rajasthan. Thank you.
Thank you, Karthik. In fact, it was really amazing to see this journey of crafts and you taking us to the various parts of Rajasthan. In fact, crafts have not only become a central part of India's economy, but they are also an integral to India's rich heritage and culture. If you look at the incredible wealth of history and culture that Indian crafts exhibit, it's unmatched globally. And today you have put a spotlight on Rajasthan through your presentation, and you have showed how rich the handicraft, and also you have brought the people behind it. In fact, you have celebrated the people behind this art. So that's a amazing experience through this webinar that our viewers would have had. And thank you again for keeping this rich legacy alive and taking time to present this wealth of information to the through the Ministry of Tourism webinar series. You know that this way, I think we have been made a small effort to bring the world closer to the majestic world of Rajasthan's handicraft. And if you look at, India also proves itself as a country of multiple cultural stories, and we also carry this across regions, just not Rajasthan. And there is so much of distinct identities that we have. So I just wanted to ask a few questions.
Sure.
Primarily, how does how what inspired you to kind of get into this domain, and how long you have been kind of curating this information?
So, Mr. Venkat, the first thought was that why not? When I traveled and I realized that if I'm looking to something more local, where I want to know the stories, where I want to understand, where I want to connect, there was very little information, or there were very few ways where I could connect in person. And not just specifically Rajasthan, the whole idea of travel for me always involved how can you make it more immersive? How can you actually understand the history, geography, the people, the culture through your travel? So experiences was something which, as a consumer, I've always been, more excited about. But when I traveled around the world, and after my education and my career, I realized there was a big gap. The gap of finding ways to connect to the local art and culture. So during my trips to Delhi, Lucknow, Goa, different parts of India, I realized Rajasthan is full of art and culture, and it was so important to bridge this. And the only way, so if you see at technology post the 90s, the early 2000, these artisans couldn't cope up with the technology, so they had completely lost in terms of being artisans to just laborers. So that's where the idea came in, and we thought of first connecting and meeting these artisans. So far we've met around 350 artisans in Rajasthan across different tehsils.
All right. And
Venkat,
yes, ma'am.
I am going to add on to the question that you asked before you ask your next one. Is that,
Okay.
Karthik, how would you recommend that we in the Ministry of Tourism and all our regional offices, like Venkat is located in Bombay, he looks after the regions of Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh, Goa, Chhattisgarh, and all these are places that have immense art forms. And so how do you think that the government can join with the private enterprise and initiative and create this whole engine of arts and crafts forward? Venkat, you have been doing a lot of work on toys already.
Yes, ma'am.
And you've actually managed to collect a lot of mementos and memoirs in terms of keychains and so many other things, fridge magnets and whatnot. I think we should try and have a dialogue, Karthik, on how do you see the government coming in and working with the private enterprise and taking this whole engine forward. Some ideas from you.
Yes, I think it's all starts. Thank you, Rupinder ma'am, for this question. It all starts with the access to information. So I believe that today travelers and young millennials and Gen Z, they know a lot. There's a lot of research which everyone wants to put in. So it starts with the access to information, the access to a platform where people can trust, people can just plan their travel. Because over the years, I've personally, if I've seen so many people around me, and I've been looking at that. People do take a lot of time traveling, and if there is good information, I'm sure there would be better opportunity if government or initiatives can be taken where they can connect.
Fine.
Hi,
And
I also have one
Great.
question,
So, Venkat,
Venkat.
I
Sorry,
think
I'm
that gives us an idea. Okay,
yes, ma'am.
great. Yes, Bharti.
sorry. I just wanted to, like, if I'm a tourist and I want to experience this. Okay, so what is typically, like, if I want to go to a Kathputli village, what is the duration? How to contact you, or even if I want to experience this blue pottery, so how to go about it? And I also need to know, is it a 1 day workshop, half day workshop? What is the time frame for this?
Yes, absolutely. So first, the thing is, today we are living in a fast-paced world where, for example, Bhartiji, if you plan to take a trip to Jaipur, you would have max 2 or 3 days or max to max 4 days. So how would you make the most of it? So what we've done is, first of all, we thought, how can art be? So art generally is unapproachable for non-artists. We designed a template. I would say we designed a structure where art experiences could be taken by anyone, and co-creation is something which empowers, which gets engagement. So for example, Kathputli, for that matter, so a Kathputli experience happens in, say, a Kathputli colony of Jaipur, and over there not only you get to see the process, or you get to paint the Kathputli from mango raw wood, but you also get to experience and play Kathputli on local tunes. That's where, when you realize that how a product is made from scratch, what is the time an artist involves, or what is the time an artist puts in on all the detailing and the way it is done. So a craft, what we've realized over time is that once you experience it, you connect with it, and you connect with the locals, and you connect with the culture.
Fine. And Karthik, that now that you have harnessed the power of technology, one of the major impediment that is seen is the market access to our artisans. So how are you trying to bridge this? One way that you are bringing them in, but on a different note, not everybody can travel to the villages, and we can't get that kind of demand. So how are you doing in terms of giving a market access on all time basis to the artisans that you're working with?
Yes. So, Mr. Venkat, I would like to quote here, which, over the last 4 years, I've spoken to so many artists, and I really believe this. So, there's this kahawat in Hindi that एक artist वो होता है, एक कलाकार वो होता है, जिसके घर पे लोग आए, वो किसी के यहाँ नहीं जाए. So we completely believe that ethos, that today, even there are so many artists in rural India and, rural parts. So there are genuine travelers who are okay to travel, to rural space. But currently, most of the art forms, specifically 70 to 75% of Rajasthan's art forms, are in cities like Jaipur, Jodhpur, Udaipur, Bikaner, Bundi, Nadwara. So that's like the geography. Yeah, and all these experiences, I just to answer one more part of the question, all these experiences are short sessions, like from 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour sessions. And these are priced from, say, 700 rupees to 5,000 rupees. And we have a very standard platform where generally people are looking for experiences. So whatever they pay, 80% of that goes directly to the artist.
Yeah, and there's somebody curious to know what is the painting that is behind you, the backdrop.
Oh, thank you so much. This is the third floor at the City Palace, Jaipur.
Oh, so you are going live from City Palace.
No, not really. It's
Okay.
just technology advantage. You get to use a screen and just to use a wallpaper.
Okay,
Sorry, guys.
fine. And can you also tell more about Phad? Phad is something which is very closer to the national capital. One can easily drive in there, and this is another dying art form.
So the first impression of Phad is, the elegance, the color which they use, the sinduri color, which most of the artists use to do the Phad. Phad as a scroll painting takes a lot of time. And especially people who believes in stories like Ramayana, Mahabharata, or any smaller version of these religious texts. An artist starts with a mood board by first researching about the whole text. So imagine if it is a curated piece of, say, one text of Ramayana. So the artist would first study and first would divide that how he or she is going to portray the whole Phad into those blocks, and everything is very unique. And so there are so to divide, there are 4 steps. One is the research and planning. Second is you sketch it out, and in equal box there's a lot of geometry involved, and then there are figures made, and then there's an outline done, and post that is the final coloring. So coloring also happens in 3 stages. Our Phad artist, Mr. Pradeep Mukherjee, is a veteran artist from Udaipur, and we happen to get a chance to, actually interact with him in detail and how a Phad. So at that point of time, a couple of times when we met, he was making the same painting in 3 months. So it actually takes a lot of time.
Okay, one more question coming from a lot of viewers. Karthik, are there any online classes, like though people are traveling, but still certain people, they want to be at home and but want to experience this art forms. So do you also have some online experiences or some classes where they can attend?
Yes, so we do have virtual experiences on a daily basis. We have 2 to 3 experiences on our website, on our Instagram, and on our partners' websites. The difference between, obviously, virtual is something which will always stay virtual. So a lot of these folk arts like Pichwai, like other art forms can be done virtually. But when you talk about these real art forms, these handicrafts and traditional art forms, like a tie and dye can be done virtually. We've done tie and dye for almost like the leading corporates of the world. But something like a sandalwood carving or something like paper mache is something which you can only enjoy, or you can actually understand it doing it in person. But for anyone who's interested doing virtual experiences, Instagram @Rajasthan.studio or our website, you can always book a personalized experience. You can always gift an experience to someone you love.
Well, once again, thank you, Karthik, and viewers, thank you for joining in. In fact, it has been a great webinar. We have been getting great feedback about it. And as we all know, India is a dream destination for all the shopaholics. And in fact, from shopping of jewelry from Jaipur to the heritage weaves from Kashmir, Kanchipuram, and Banaras, there is so much to offer. Moreover, the high-end brands uh, are all there, and in fact, there are every city, every destination in India has something or other very very special to offer. So as we are getting into the unlock period and the travel is starting, let us travel responsibly, take care of the basic precautions, and explore the wonderful, incredible India, Dekho Apna Desh in true sense. And we'll join again next week, same time. We will shortly inform you about the topic of discussion. Till then, goodbye. Take care. Dekho apna desh and keep traveling. Once again, thank you to
Absolutely.
all the co-panelists, and thank you, ma'am, for joining in from Assam, one of the most exotic and unexplored areas. Again, Northeast is paradise unexplored, and we look
Absolutely.
forward to
Absolutely.
seeing you
In fact,
again. Thank
Venkat,
you
I
again.
must share with all the viewers that, we have a lot of misconceptions. And that's why when the Honorable Prime Minister is talking of Ek Bharat, Shresh Bharat, I think that's the whole spirit. When we sit in Rajasthan, possibly we might be thinking, oh, Northeast, I wonder where am I even going to go? Am I going to get the kind of food that I want? Believe me, viewers, I've had puri and aloo yesterday and I've had aloo ka parantha today. So if you are getting anxious on what is it that's going to be missing? Well, nothing. You can see the splendor of India in so many different forms, and of course, in the process, you must come and eat the local foods, and they're just so amazing. And that's the splendor that India is. And traveling is no longer an issue in most of the places. If we see here the airport, every place that I went to is equally, comfortable. In fact, at Kamakhya ji, the Ministry of Tourism has done a project under the Prashad scheme, and the parking lot that has come up and the walking way that has come up, all that is happening in your country. And therefore, go out, enjoy. Of course, right now we all understand that we need to keep safe, so do wear your mask, keep the dogas, keep duri, definitely do all that. But do travel, and when you go, come back not just with the memories of the travel, but do remember to pick that small little trinket, that small little memoir. It adds value, and more than the money part of it, which is also very important, but it also encourages the artisans across our country. So thanks, viewers. Thanks, Venkat,
Thank you, ma'am.
for bringing a wonderful program as part of Dekho Apna Desh today. And we are keeping the next Saturday's subject a little bit of a surprise. Do join in at 11 a.m. What we shall show you, we'll see. Bye,
Thank you.
Karthik.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Bye,
thank
Venkat.
you,
Bye,
thank you,
Bharti.
thank you, Miss
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Anka.
Team NEGD. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.